He taught black people to love their enemies and to assimilate and to integrate into places where they weren't wanted. He didn't advise black people to build for themselves or to do for themselves. He advised them to try and get into the ins and outs, the little places that they could be in the confinements of other sets of people. And it's given this narrative that he is the reason why we have this quote unquote integrated, which is really just desegregated society. You have to really look at the character of who are we praising. Michael over here was always for integration from beginning to end. Now a lot of people will say that, well, what about this over here?
I must confess that that dream that I had that day has at many points turned into a nightmare.
And what about when he said that I fear that I have integrated my people into a burning house? Well, I'm glad you mentioned that. See, Martin Luther King, or excuse me, Michael over here was not talking about integrating black people into the confinements of other sets of people and that he regretted the works that he did in terms of integration. He was talking about the Vietnam War.
Now, I'm not one to lose hope. I keep on hoping. I still have faith in the future. But I've had to analyze many things over the last few years, and I would say over the last few months. I've gone through a lot of soul-searching and agonizing moments, and I've come to see that we have many more difficult days ahead, and some of the old optimism was a little superficial, and now it must be tempered with a solid realism. And I think the realistic fact is that we still have a long, long way to go, and that we are involved in a war on Asian soil, which, if not checked and stopped, can poison the very soul of our nation.
And so within these two particular conversations in the last few years of his life, he mentioned that black people should be a martyr and should be the people to take out the fire. Because he said that he feared black people, he feared that he integrated black people into a burning house. Not that he regretted black people being integrated with with other people, but that black people should be the people in which we are to save the world, to save the day, per se, to be the martyrs to reshape this society. Now on the side, we do know that Martin Luther King had a love for them white snow bunnies. As a matter of fact, he had an affair with 40 different women, according to FBI files. Now, a lot of people will say, well, the FBI files could be lying on his legacy. No. As a matter of fact, he was working with the Rockefellers and the Rothschild, and they funded his civil rights movement. They don't have a reason to lie. Not to mention, they have stuff on just about every civil rights leader, and we don't disclose that. We look at the COINTELPRO plan that was created by J. Edgar Hoover. We don't disclose that. There's a particular event where a woman was assaulted in a Washington, D.C. hotel in 1964, and he chuckled and laughed at the woman being sexually assaulted. There's an event where Bayard Rustin and some of Martin Luther King's advisors had to take up for one of Martin Luther King's entourage because they were having orgies or threesomes or whatever the case is. They were having sexual interactions with white women in one of their hotels. Yes, so Michael over here was a wild man. Not to mention Coretta already knew of these particular patterns. And you can see a little bit of this disclosed in Selma. So yes, very, very aware of the pattern that Michael had for himself. Not to mention, right, Michael over here had a white woman for a girl and wanted to marry her before he even met Coretta. When he was going off to college, he met this white woman by the name of Betty Moss. If I say her last name right, I probably didn't say her last name right, but you get the picture, right? Miss Betty over here was Michael's first love, and people around him, people that knew Michael when he was growing up in college and when they went to college with him. He was heartbroken that he could not be with this white woman. He loved her so much. He wanted to marry this white woman, start a family with her and all this other type of things. But the people around him, people around Michael, were saying that he was heartbroken that he could not be in a relationship with this white woman. But even when he was with Coretta, his love for white women did not stop.